Welcome. We are continuing with the documentary evidence of it as well. Our focus is upon the secondary evidence. We have to be careful as that in many times the originals are not available, or in many situations when the persons who are in possession of the original are not producing the original, or those are not within the limits or otherwise coverage situations of the court as well. So the focus is to be for a lawyer to see how in the alternative the secondary evidence provisions shall be utilized. Of this, Section 65 is the most important section, as here the situations are enlisted in which the cases in which secondary evidence relating to documents may be given. Now, see, first of all, let us remind ourselves that what actually the document means. It does not mean that it should be a written document. Document even can be say a murti, a idol, or something scratched over the stones, something scratched on the walls, or in many ways. So we have to be very specific as that the document is a very big reservoir of the situations. Many things other than the written documents are included, covered, and accepted as a document, as a documentary evidence. So in all those situations, we have to visit this section 65. Secondary evidence may be given of number one, existence, number two, condition, number three, contents of the documents. Therefore, the existence of a document as well is a big situation. Condition of the document as well is a big situation. And then contents of the documents naturally are the of central focus. Now, let us start visiting the cases in which secondary evidence is permissible under Indian Evidence Act as tabulated in section 65 in the Indian Evidence Act. A. When the original is shown or appears to be in possession or power of a person against whom document is sought to be proved, of any person out of reach of or not subject to the process of the court, or of any person legally bound to produce it, and when after the notice mentioned in section 66 such person does not produce it. It is a very big clause. In fact, it is a code in itself. It is an exhaustive tabulation. An attempt here, and successful attempt here, is to cover all possible situations in which the original is not becoming possible to be produced. Therefore, section 65A is the clause which will be applicable to cover practically all the situations which the litigants face during the trials. It is not only the criminal adjudications, but the civil adjudications as well are covered by the same Evidence Act. Therefore, while we are visiting these provisions, we shall keep in mind that civil as well as the criminal, so practically the whole range of litigations as such, are subject matter of importance of these provisions. So Indian Evidence Act, as it is in clause 65A, let us read it again. Let us try to write it in our own hand so that we will be absolutely specific and clear as to how exhaustively this provision covers practically the whole range of situations with which the litigants will be confronted when the failure to produce the documentary original documents will be the situation. When the original is shown, it is just to or appears. Now, how big are the words shown? It's a bigger thing, as if it's something definite thing. Then appears is a different diluted situation. So when the original is shown or appears to be in possession of a possession or power. Now, possession or power again are the words of the person against whom the document is sought to be proved. That means the opposite party. We want to prove a particular document. We want to lead an evidence, a documentary evidence, with respect to certain document, and we want to give it against the person who is in possession of it or who has a power over it. Then this is a situation, a very big situation. So here in criminal cases, the state itself, the prosecutor itself, state as a prosecutor in the footsteps of the victims or some other cover of a situation. So when the original is shown or appears to be in possession or power of the person against whom the document is sought to be proved, of any person out of each of, reach of, are not subject to the process of the court. So say document is in possession of A and he has gone out of the country, he is in some foreign land. So if he is out of the reach, this is one situation, but see how big situations are covered. Of any person out of reach of are not subject to the process of the court. Not subject to the process of the court. In some sort of situations, when the President of India or the governors have certain exemptions, and the documents are within the powers of these constitutional authorities, but same are to be proved, then here is a legislative domain which provides a legislative sanction, which gives a justification for leading secondary evidence. And when after the notice mentioned in section 6, such person does not produce it. So even the situation will arise when the court will issue, party will apply, court will issue the notice to produce a document, and still document is being not produced. So this clause is a very big clause. It says the situations which are in 65A will entitle the person in the relevant situations to lead secondary evidence. Therefore, when one is to go for the option of a secondary evidence, then one is to apply to the court, get the permission of the court, and it is only by having such permission the secondary evidence will be led. But the secondary evidence, to obtain a permission from the court, will be one set of situations as are in section 65A. Therefore, if when the application is for secondary evidence of the situations which are covered under clause A, then in the application these specific situations within the four corners of 65A have to be explicitly mentioned in the application, and once it will stand covered within these four corners, then the permission will be granted. Now the clause B, 65B, when the existence, condition, or contents of the original have been proved to be admitted in writing by the person against whom it is proved or by his representative in interest. See, somewhere, in some case, in some situation, some in another litigation, or some another proceedings, or in some another activity. For example, the existence of a document is admitted, or condition of a document is stated, or contents of the documents are accepted. Then original is not available, but this situation is there. Then this situation will also be the sufficient ground to lead evidence in respect thereof as a secondary evidence. For example, in some museum, some documentary stands prepared, and then a museum somehow is unfortunately under fire. The documents are not available, but the documentary is available. It is in possession of somebody. Then that documentary, as a document, being of certain situations regarding existence, say of some painting, existence of certain pillars, some conditions or contents, etc., then the secondary evidence is permissible in these situations as well. See, when the original has been destroyed or lost itself would mean presently it is not within the knowledge, within the location. Therefore, when the original has been destroyed or lost, or when the party offering evidence of its contents cannot, for any other reason not arising from his own default or neglect, produce it in reasonable time. See how big situations these are. Original is destroyed, one situation. It is lost. Or party which wants to give an evidence for any reason, any other reason, not arising from his own default, not because of his default or neglect, produce it in reasonable time. So when we are visiting these provisions, we see how big universe is being covered, how big reality domain is subject matter of legislation here. We have to be blissful as that the drafting of this clause is of a universal coverage domain. How universal situations have been conceived and put in a legislative form so that the justice delivery system is not coming in the way of some such like hindrances of non-availability, non-production of the original evidence. Now see D. When the original is such a nature as not to be easily movable, this thing has been put, say 300 years old document, put under certain glass boxes in some building, and its production is not possible, then as well in such a situation secondary evidence is permissible. Here one can even think of that when evidence is recorded on commission, that will be original. Commission comes in the footsteps of the court itself, or court visiting that very place. This is one situation. That is for the original evidence. But for the secondary evidence as well, it is being legislated, it is being sanctioned, it is being approved, it is being taken a lawful course of a proof. So one simply is to build a case that original is in such a nature as not to be easily movable. It is not being said that it is not movable at all. It is not easily movable. From this adjective, easily movable, in itself shows how the law is elastic, making in such flexible coverage of the domain. Then E, when the original is a public document within the meaning of section 74. Here we have to have a pause and we have to see that there are public documents which are mentioned in 74 with respect to the same as well. The section 65 is permitting secondary evidence. It simply means that once there are public documents, then from section 79 onwards of the Indian Evidence Act itself, there are certain presumptions attached. Therefore, while we are being through the documentary evidence, the on proof, regarding proof as documentary evidence, then we shall be very conscious of the fact that Indian Evidence Act is also enlisting large number of provisions, section 79 onwards up till section 90, that there are presumptions attached. So the presumptions, as we have read in respect of the Indian Penal Code, the presumptions of the Indian Evidence Act are also enlisted. These are specifically enlisted with respect to the documentary evidence. Presumptions are the specific topic of the Indian Evidence Act. Therefore, while we shall be through the provisions of section 65, then section 74 regarding public documents, in that context we shall also be through the presumptions attached, as those presumptions will help us appreciate as to how the secondary evidence with respect to the public documents in a way is a near complete substitution for the original evidence. So the secondary evidence with respect to the public documents in the overall situation is made as near as the primary evidence. Now, clause 65F, when the original is a document of which a certified copy is permitted by this act or by any other law in force in India to be given in evidence. So all these situations in which the certified copies are permissible, it is in this context as well the provisions section 79 onwards regarding presumption of documents, this domain, this range of sanctions, legislative sanctions, cover the presumption regarding the certified copies as well. So certified copies, as per this scheme of the Indian Evidence Act, in very large number of situations are being taken as substitution of the original. Certified copies are being attached the legal sanction as parallel to the legal sanction attached to the originals coming in evidence. Therefore, while we shall be planning our evidence or planning our cross-examination, then we have to be very, very specific, very, very clear as to which documents have legal presumptions attached to it, because it is in the context of those presumption presumptive sanctions of the documents that we have to build our case on the positive side or as a case in a defense. Now G, when the originals consists of numerous accounts or other documents which cannot be conveniently be examined in court, and the fact to be proved is the general result of the whole collection in cases A, C, and D, any secondary evidence of the contents of the documents is admissible. C, this clause is a clause which, when is appreciated in the context of, say, running accounts, the books of accounts, other books of continuous dealing, official dealing, the commercial dealing, the business dealings, then when the original consists of numerous accounts or other documents, there may be many receipts, there may be many acknowledgements, there may be many audits, there may be many time verifications. So when the original consists of numerous documents or other documents which cannot be conveniently be examined in court, time as a factor, and the professional accuracy also may be the factor, then, and the fact to be proved is simply a general result of the whole collection. What is the net? What is the sum up? What is the observations, final? What was the audit objections? When then secondary evidence of the contents of documents are admissible. That means the documents as such may be produced as copies or by simple statements or by affidavits or by verified statements. As the focus here, as is pointed, is upon the general result of the collection. So one is to build a case under this clause by being specifically through the cases A, C, and D above, as we have read here, 65A, 65C, 65D, and also 65B, 65E, 65F. So all these clauses, 65A to G, are being again taken up collectively in respect of the situations when there are numerous accounts or documents which conveniently cannot be examined in court, and the fact to be proved is general result, then this clause will be attracted. As such, I think today we shall concentrate again upon the principles underlying the foundational basis of clauses, subclauses A to G of Section 65 of the Indian Evidence Act. It is a very, very important aspect. It is very practical aspect in each and every trial, maybe in a criminal or maybe in a civil case. These situations frequently arise. These situations as are of frequent occurrence. As such, the proper legal approach and answer for such situations, which is provided here in this section, in these clauses, are to be attracted by both parties. Therefore, our focus shall remain upon these 7 subclauses A to G of Section 65 whenever we are confronted with the circumstantial situations for adopting the course of a secondary evidence. Now section 65A. It now is blissfully bringing us face to face with as to how the judicial systems were prior to the electronic revolution. Once the electronic revolution has become a reality, then the need has arisen, legislature has accepted, it stands incorporated, and it has become a law of special provisions as to evidence relating to electronic records. This aspect also will be covered in the next session. So the presumptions attached to documents and special provisions as to evidence relating to electronic records will be taken up, will be visited in the next session. Thank you.
Yes, Uncle, it is quite informative. I think 65A and 65B are quite important, which we are using on a regular basis in our submission of electronic data, which is quite relevant
Naturally,
in today's
the whole business has changed. Whole human conduct and relationship is changed. Documentation has changed. So these sections naturally have got their own importance. And we will be through tomorrow. We will be
Yes, sir.
being through class by class of these 65, 60, and then added with it presumptions attached. Section 69 onwards of this very chapter of the Indian Evidence Act. This also is very important. It has great practical importance. It helps us plan the cases. It helps us plan the way we have to be through the different trial proceedings.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.